Hi there Aquarius, thank you for joining me for your monthly forecast for January and welcome to the new year. Now Aquarius people at this time of year, the turn of one year to the new, often have a need to just reflect a little bit, draw back and just recover from the frenetic hubbub of the festivities and just recapture an inner spark. This year's going to be a bit different though Aquarius, because Venus, the planet of love and attraction, is in a very sociable part of your scope. Moved there just before the end of 215, and it's going to be with you at the start of this month, and it's encouraging you to be a bit more playful. But Saturn, your traditional ruler, is actually also in the same sector. And I do think it's a case of quality over quantity. So I don't think it's going to be a very frivolous start to the year, but I think it's one which just pushes you to, on a selective basis, get together with the right people. Mercury also moves into your sign on the 2nd, so that's been locked away in this inward, deep-looking part of your scope, moves into your sign, and then 3 days later goes into a retrograde, and then on the 10th goes back into the sign of Capricorn. This is very important. So although you may start the new year thinking that you're going to keep in touch with some of the people you met over the holiday period, and you might want to network, something that you're very gifted at, you are being reminded by Saturn about this issue of who is really worth spending time with. And it's not a numbers game, it really is about who gives you greater sense of yourself. So your relationships are going to continue to be under review for much of 2016, quite frankly, particularly with Mars spending 5 whole months in this part of your scope. So friendships and your global activities, your long-term plans are going to be a big part of what you're grappling with. But that meditative aspect of the Sun, as it starts this year, and its angle to Saturn, suggests that the sincere people in your world that you can contact with, work behind the scenes with, feel very reassured by, those are the people you should spend your time and energy in cultivating. Now once Mercury goes into retrograde and moves back into Capricorn, you may start to find that some doubts and anxieties start to wash around your psychology again. But part of the reason for this, and why it's been so prevalent for Aquarius folk in general over the last few years, has been the role of Pluto. Pluto, if you like, is the planet of transformation, the planet of truth, but it also helps us to declutter each sector that it goes through. And because it's in the psychological sector for Aquarius people, if you found yourself on edge, or your nervous system has been stretched out, or you've just not really had the spark that you would normally equate with yourself, it's partly because Pluto's been clashing persistently with your modern ruler of Uranus in recent years. Uranus is in a very unstable part of everyone's horoscope in Aries, and it can create a lot of nervous tension there for Aquarius people. So exhaustion is something that can easily happen. And then as it feeds in a right angle to Pluto, some of the things that cause the exhaustion are hidden things. So it's all about continuing to sift through anything in the deeper depths of your psyche, clear things out and straighten out any things that aren't quite flowing as you would like. And as Mercury combines with Pluto in the last 2 weeks of this month, I do feel that you could confront some demons. Now remember, I'm in Aquarius as well, so I understand this entirely. And it's going to be important to give ourselves the space to just step back and the peace and tranquility to process this very highly sensitive data, which may be linked right back in the depths of the past. However, that particularly aggravating angle between Uranus and Pluto is going to come to an end just about by the end of March. It's not going to come back in these two signs for hundreds and hundreds of years. So collective sigh of relief. And also, I think it's worth mentioning that Venus can also be a very good thing. It's going to be connecting with Saturn, it's true, at the start of week 2. And maybe you're going to have to really look one association straight in the eye and think, look, if I'm never going to get what I keep being disappointed I'm not getting from this, walk away. walk completely away. Also, Jupiter, the planet of growth and good fortune, well, that's going to be tracking back from the 8th in the sign of Virgo, where it's actually in detriment. So that's just saying to you, don't take long-term business or financial issues for granted. We've all got to keep working at the perspiration side of things if we're trying to improve the financial side of things. So that's the equation to really think of there. But I do feel that Mars is going to be your trump card this month. And Mars moves on the 4th into Scorpio. Now, it's going to give Aquarius people a lot more sort of gravitas, a lot more grunt, a lot more power potential. And it's going to be in the sign of Scorpio, not just for most of January, but a couple of weeks also into February. And then it's going to be coming back later in the year as well. So if you are an ambitious person and you're finding this psychological, nervous system stuff, it's holding you back a little bit, I think Mars is going to give you a lot of desire to still make your mark. Just don't overload yourself. Don't try to do too much. That would be a mistake. But if you need to assert yourself and let people know where they're not coming up to your standards, Mars will give you a lot of extra oomph, but just don't let that convert to arrogance. Mars does forge a beautiful link with Neptune from the 11th to the 25th. And this just reminds me, you, to just stay conscious of our values when it comes to ambitions. Keep the spiritual side of it there. Don't get too obsessed with materialism. But if you can do something bold, which helps others too, go for it. It really can win you plaudits. Now the Sun moves back into Aquarius at the start of week 3. Yippee! Because energy will pick up. It will be an enlivening link. It will give us a greater sense of directiveness around our energy. But a challenge soon comes from the full moon, the opposite sign of Leo, on the 23rd. So it's just reminding us not to take relationships for granted as this month draws to a close. So a fascinating month, a lot of electric energy still. It's important to stay conscious of nervous health, not get too stressed about things, try not to worry too much about the things we can't control, but equally be conscious that it's not a numbers game when it comes to friendships, association and popularity. It's about true sincerity, something the sign of Aquarius is essentially based upon. Thank you for joining me, good luck and goodbye for now.